Hi, it's me again. Now that you have your equipment, I'm going to spend a few minutes going over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to create this fine home brew of yours. Your beer is only going to be as good as your ingredients, but fortunately, excellent ingredients are easy to get these days. Yeast needs sugar to produce alcohol and carbonation. You can either buy pre-made sugars. This is called a dehydrated malt extract or a dried malt extract, a DME. But the way I prefer to brew beer is with grains. These are malted grains. Malting is a process of beginning germination and then stopping the germination. So these are malted grains that have been crushed through a mill, just straight up natural grains. They come in a wide variety. Most grains are barleys, malted barleys. There are also wheat and rice and rye and other barleys. The different colors are based on the roasting process, and that gives different flavors and different colors to your beer. The next crucial ingredient, of course, is water. If you like the taste of your tap water, use it. If you don't like the taste of your tap water, don't. If you feel that you shouldn't use your tap water and you're going to use bottled water instead, don't use demineralized or distilled water. Instead, use spring water. You'll need about 8 or 9 gallons of water, so if that's an expense that you're able and willing to undertake, go for it. The first flavoring that you're going to use are your hops. Hops add both flavor and they act as a preservative. The style of beer called IPA, or India Pale Ale, was one of the first beers that was able to be transported across the ocean because it had a very high level of hops. Hops come in a very wide variety from different places, different temperatures, things like that. They can be bought as fresh flowers, as dried pressed flowers, or as pellets, which is the way that I usually buy my hops. Any of them work just fine. Near the end of the boiling of your beer, you're going to want to add a clarifier. The most popular and common clarifier is called Irish moss, and as you might have guessed, that's a moss from Ireland, you bet. There are other clarifiers that you can use also, any types are fine. What the clarifier will do for you is to precipitate out the solids from your beer so that you'll end up with a clearer beer. One of the most magical ingredients in beer, of course, is your yeast. These are vials from empty vials of yeast from the last 2 batches that I made. Both of them are Belgian yeasts and have very high alcohol tolerance. The 2 beers that I made were both 10.5%. That's a little higher than I generally like beers. I think I'll be aiming at the 6 to 8% beers for my next couple of batches. Just before you bottle your beer, you're going to need to reactivate the yeast so that the beer will carbonate. You're going to add a priming sugar. The most common priming sugar is a corn sugar, but basically any sugar can be used to reactivate that yeast and get it to carbonate. Any equipment that touches your beer, especially after the boil, should be sanitized. Here are 2 of the varieties of sanitizers. This is an iodine-based, and this is a dry granular sanitizer. Either of them or any of the others will work fine. Many of them say to not rinse after you're done sanitizing. I always rinse. I figure that if I don't want to drink a big cold glass of sanitizer, I don't want it in my beer either. The last 2 supplies that you'll need are bottles and, of course, bottle caps. The bottle caps you buy by the pound. They're quite inexpensive. They come in a wide variety of colors and patterns, some with names on them, things like that. For the bottles, I save my own bottles, either from my homebrew or store-bought beers. I ask friends to save bottles for me, and I talk with the people at the recycling center and ask them to save a few cases. So bottles you can get for free. You can also buy them, but I always like free better. So there's a brief overview of the supplies and ingredients that you'll need to create your fine homebrew. In the next unit, Brewing Day, we'll talk about how you actually do that.